Let's talk about the Chauvet EZpar T6 USB. Now, if you've been watching my review videos, you've probably noticed I'm a little bit more of an audio guy than a light guy. But we do have a lot of lighting around the shop, so I thought today, you know what, I'm going to go in the back room and I'm going to grab a light and do a review on it. So I decided to pick this one. This is a new light that we've been buying, and it's just part of an upgrade cycle. We were using the American DJ Mega Tri-Par Profile Plus par cans, and for the most part we just use them for uplighting, like I have here. So going to battery power is just kind of a natural progression. Obviously there's pros and cons to everything. When you go battery powered, you know, you got to make sure you have it charged up before you go to your event. You're probably not going to be doing the setup a day early and leaving the lights on. You know, you can set the lights up early, but you got to go back and flip them on. So if you're just doing a straight rental, you know, set up and tear down, you know, plug into the wall might still be the better way to go. But if you're a wedding DJ and you're bringing them out and setting them up, or you're setting them up right before an event and then going back to tear them down right afterwards, battery powered is probably just fine. But you know, the pros, obviously you don't have to travel with a bunch of totes of power cords, power strips, you know, reduced tripping hazards because you don't have cords going all over the place. You know, in the end, I think for uplighting, the pros outweigh the cons when it comes to a battery-powered uplight. Obviously, you could still use this light as a stage wash if you wanted to. My reviewing of it is going to be more based on uplighting usage because that's specifically what we bought it for. As far as the light itself goes, it's got pretty solid construction. Overall, I mean, it seems heavy duty. Like, you know, I feel like sometimes you buy a light and you just worry like, I cannot drop this. You know, I'm not going to do a drop test, but I almost feel like I could drop this on the floor and it would be just fine. It's definitely very solid and it's got some weight to it. Obviously there's a battery in it, so that's going to add to the weight. I'm not going to do a comparison video. You know, I'm not trying to compare the features between the two, but you know, this is plastic, it feels a lot cheaper. I have had the cases of these crack and break. I don't feel like I'm not as worrisome for that happening with this. It definitely feels like a much more solid light. But then again, that's a $100 light. This is a $200 light. So I would hope the extra $100 isn't just for a battery, you know, just better solid construction all the way around. I do lose UV on this one. This is just RGB, but I do gain a couple extra watts of lighting output, so it is a little bit brighter. I'm not sure exactly how much brighter. I mean, I'd say somewhere between 5 to 10% maybe. So not super noticeable, but I am happy it's got a little bump in output. As far as, you know, it's built nicely. One thing I would like to see just looks-wise and functionality-wise, I'm not a huge fan of using the yokes to set lights up. And, you know, part of it is, I'm just a little anal when it comes to lights. You know, I like to make sure it's perfectly up straight. So every time I set it up, I almost want to like set a level on top of it and make sure I've got it pointing straight up. But that might just be me. Also, I do worry a little bit about somebody coming along and, you know, knocking it, and next thing I know, it's shooting at the ground. So I'm not a huge fan of the yoke. It is a nice yoke, but I personally would have preferred if they put, I mean, I like having it, but if they would have put 4 feet on the back just so I could set it up like that, I personally would have preferred it a lot better. I maybe would not have taken these off. I would have kept them on just for a use as a handle, I guess, and just for fear of losing them. And just the annoyance of having 40 brackets laying around the shop. So I went to taking them off, but having feet on it I think would have been really nice just to have it sit like this. And somebody out there might be saying, well, you can still set it down like that. And yeah, you probably could, but the buttons to the display are right here. So, you know, it's going to be, the ground's directly going to be touching the buttons. And whether or not you set it down and, you know, it changes or somebody taps it and the menu button gets clicked, you know, you just never know. And it's not completely flat. You know, the power in and out stick out a little bit. But having some feet on the back really would have made a difference, because I never use the yoke on these. I always set them up just like that. And it does have 4 feet on the back. You know, so one might say, well, the plugins are here, and if you want to use the DeFi, you know, you wouldn't want to set it flat on its back. I get that, but if you're just doing a static color and they're battery powered, you're not going to need to plug anything into the back. So having the feet would be nice. You know, I might say I wish the DMX was like in, out, and power in, out. You know, maybe recessed on the sides just in case you are using it in plug-in fashion. The Iec cords they give you for these are very, very thick and not very bendy. So, you know, if you are using the yoke and plugging them in, these are very stiff. Maybe over time they'll loosen up a little bit, but a little overly thick in my opinion, but not a deal breaker, just something that I think is kind of a pain in the butt to plug in under here if you are, you know, going the plug-in route with these. But that's probably the one thing, if I had to pick one thing to improve on this light width, it would be 4 feet on the back. And I can't imagine that upgrade would cost much. And preferably not, this uses 4 little feet, but they're like glued on feet. I've lost so many of those little feet off the light, they're pretty much pointless. If you leave your stuff in a hot vehicle, the glue will make them fall right off. Functionality wise, charging these is pretty nice because it doesn't have the, it's got a real, is that an Edison outlet, and it's got the IEC in. I'm not a big fan of the like IEC out jumper, so when I go to charge these I just lay them on the floor and daisy chain them one right after the other. There's a light right here that is red when they're not fully charged, green when they are fully charged, so it's nice and obvious. Power switch is right there, so super easy to turn on and off. It is heavy, so it does have a safety loop hook right there. So if you were using this as a wash light hanging from truss, I would definitely recommend using the safety loop. Not just because of the weight, but I do feel like these screws come unscrewed really easy. And if you're using them for a wash light, I just feel like vibrating base would just vibrate these loose and the light might fall. So if you're using them to hang as a hanging wash light, definitely use the safety loop. I have not DMX'd them. When we do uplighting, it tends to be mostly a static color. Usually if we're doing a wedding, you know, I ask what their wedding color is and then I set the uplights to that color. It does have a DeFi USB plug right there. So if you wanted to go with using, you know, wireless DMX for these, you definitely could. Although, in my personal opinion, if you were to buy 40 of these and you wanted to do, you know, wireless around the room chasing and things, I'd probably just go with the Freedom Pars. I'm a big one when it comes to, you know, I always talk about price to performance ratios and return on investment. You know, I stuck with these for a really long time because they're $100 a piece. You know, if I'm selling uplighting for a wedding or even just an uplighting rental, you know, the return on investment, it's a lot faster with that than it is for something twice the price. Or if you go to, you know, a Freedom Par Hex 4, you know, that's $400 for one light. So if you're talking, you know, 40 uplights, You know, we're talking $4,000 with the plug-in, $8,000 with these, and if you want to go, you know, Freedom Par, so you've got built-in wireless DMX and, you know, maybe hex LEDs, you know, you're talking $16,000 for 40 of them. And for me, that's just, I'm not going to get into a big discussion about pricing, but, you know, if I'm selling somebody 40 purple uplights that plug into a wall, 40 purple uplights that are battery powered, or, you know, 40 purple uplights where I can change the color to purple wirelessly, such as the Freedom Pars, you know, is there a selling price difference between those? At the end of the day, the customer is still just getting 40 purple uplights. I personally don't think so, and that's one of the reasons I didn't go with the Freedom Pars. You know, $400 an uplight, $16,000 for 40 of them. You know, yes, the rolling road case, being able to just plug the road case in and charge them all, very nice feature, makes it easy, but at the end of the day, I'm in business to make some money, so I kind of went with what I would call the entry-level battery-powered uplight. And I might down the road get a couple of the USB D5s, you know, just in case I feel like being able to change colors at an event, but I'm probably not going to get 40 of them, because then, like I said, you might as well just get the Freedom Pars, because the USB D5 things aren't very cheap. But my thought is I could get 4 of them, and then maybe down each wall just do a string, and granted that I'm not going to be wireless, I'm going to have to put DMX cords daisy chained. But, you know, that's kind of the sacrifice in going with the cheaper light. Obviously, you get more functionality with the more expensive light. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy with this purchase. Output-wise, you know, you can kind of see, you know, this is 6 watts of red. I'm in a lit room, you know, so while it might not be, you know, the brightest light on the market, I would say this one is, I hate to use the word adequate. It's bright enough that everybody's going to see it while dinner's going on and all the lights are up. When the lights go down, that's when they're really going to pop. And you put 40 of these around a reception hall room, and, you know, it's really going to look good. Now, can you get brighter lights that are going to pop even more? Yeah, you definitely can. But, you know, they're going to cost more. I do like these, not only for the functionality, battery life is really good, but the price is decent. $200 a piece, you know, $8,000 for 40 of them. I feel like in a summer I could have all 40 paid off from rentals. You know, if I was to pay twice that, you know, do I want a 2-year return on investment? Me personally, no. I'd like to have anything I buy be able to pay it off in a year. They might not be, you know, wireless DMX built in, but they do come with the IRC remote, which allows you to go through a few different things. You can easily change the color, so, you know, it makes it way easier than these where I was. Yeah, I think these came with a remote too, but I don't know what happened to the remote. Or maybe the remote was a aftermarket. The remote does come with each of these, so when you buy 40 lights, you get 40 remotes. So, you know, if you lose one, you probably don't have to worry too much. But if you end up losing 40 of them, they are about $20 to replace. But you can do a few different things. You can go into sound active. You know, you can make it fade. Now, obviously, if you have 40 of these set up and you set them to fade or you set them to sound, if you're not using a DMX cord and master slaving them, they are going to all operate independently. So what you're really losing here is probably just the built-in wireless connectivity, and you know, these don't have a road case option where you can put 9 in. But what I bought was this gator bag, and there's 3 sections in here, and I can actually fit, it gets a little heavy, but I can fit 8 of these in there with all the power cords pretty nicely. I think Chauvet sells this bag, which you can put 4 in. My plan is I eventually plan on buying, I think it's the EZpar T6. I'm going to have 16 of the non-battery powered version just to have in our rental inventory. I don't think, when we go out to DJ an event, I don't think we'll use the plug-in version of them, but a lot of people that rent Uplights from us do like just using the plug-in version because they don't want to have to worry about a battery. So the battery part of this thing is more for us than anyone else, just to make setup quicker and easier. At the end of the day, my final thoughts on this, would I recommend it? Yeah, I definitely would. I think it's at the right price point. I think it's built well, and I think it works well. And I think at the end of the day, you know, if you're looking for a basic uplight that's battery powered to do, you know, purple around a room, if you're looking to do that, this is the perfect light for that. If you are looking to, you know, have wireless DMX programs where lights are chasing around the room, you know, being able to like strobe them and create, you know, just energy throughout the room and not just through your dance floor lights on the dance floor, you know, you might want to upgrade to the Freedom Pars, spend a little bit more money. For us, we were mostly looking for, you know, battery powered static washes for uplights. So that's why these work good for us. And I think at the end of the day, the price point allows us to make pretty decent money off of them. If you have any questions about this light, feel free to throw it down in the comments section. I am pretty quick to reply. Usually within a day, unless it's around the weekend, then I'll usually get back to people on Monday. But till next time, have a good day.